or two regions. So you can choose whether this region and this only dual region is there is an additional option that they have, and multi-region is like it can be replicable. It can be replicated anywhere, like different type of regions. So those are all the three options when you choose object storage in Google Cloud. And storage class in S3 it used to be like so many storage class. Like they start with standard, but they go with a lot of stuff. But in Google Cloud Storage, it's just four options: standard, nearline, code line, and archive. Only four options. Standard meant for like any reusable, like any the number of times that you use it. Basically, frequent access. So any object that is being frequently accessed that comes under standard storage type. And nearline is like it's pretty much like I think I should have a notes about it, but it's 30 days. So if you have anything that needs to be accessed for 30 days, yeah, nearline storage is the best option. So like after 30 days, you can move it from standard to nearline storage, and then cold line storage it's quarter. So if you don't access it for like one quarter, like just the duration, then you can go for a cold line storage class. And archive, it's basically not frequently used, so you can choose the archive storage class where you put all your files which needs to be stored. I mean, it needs to be there, but it's not required to be accessed at least in a quarter or something. So like yearly access, something like that. So if you want any file object that needs to be stored, you can go with archive. So these are all the only four options that we have. So the usage is basically 99.99%. I mean, the loss of chance for this objects. So 99.11 for standard, and rest all like nearline, cold line, and archive. 99.95 is the chance of loss. And pretty much all the buckets that we choose, it's supposed to be globally unique. So that's the main requirement for a cloud storage to be used. So which means like the name of that bucket that you choose, it should be accessed through the URL. So that's what the URL gets created as part of this Google Cloud Storage. It's pretty much same as AWS. So we just choose a name for your bucket, which is supposed to be unique globally. So that's one of the main requirement. And so to start with the cloud storage, like we already talked about it, serverless. This is serverless. You don't choose the you don't maintain the infrastructure. Google takes care of the infrastructure, and all the buckets or the objects are stored as the key value pair, like a hash map. That's how we store it. So object storage, and they treat entire object as a unit. So you don't basically store pieces. So you cannot split an object and store it in the Google Cloud Storage. And every object is stored as one unit. And everything in Google Cloud Storage is handled through the REST API. So any endpoint, for example, you want to get an item, you want to get an object, you want to delete an object, you want to create an object. So basically, all the REST APIs for put, get, and I think post for create. So same features are being used for this storage as well. And we have an option to store like GSUtil is what used for cloud storage. So there are three different things. Two different things in Google. So they use GSUtil specific for storage. For example, if you want to use any Google Cloud Storage options, you have a CLI for storage. It's GSUtil. But in overall, maintaining an infrastructure from Google Cloud, you want to use G Cloud. So these two are the two different commands basically used by Google. Provided by Google for their GCP platform. So GSUtil, just to remember that GSUtil is completely used for the storage, the cloud storage feature. And And as usual, client libraries are used for if you want to write your program in Java, Python, or Node.js, whatever. The Google also provide a client library, so which you use it to make the connection to programmatically store the app objects into the GS. So Google, GCS, Google Cloud Storage, we call it as. So that's how the storage piece of it works. So these are all the few important uh, topics we just need to remember, information we need to remember. And it can be used for storing any type of object. There is no restriction that you have to store only this type of object. And Google Cloud Storage used for multi-purpose object storage solution. It is a multi-purpose object storage solution. So overall, like this is the high-level introduction about Google Cloud Storage. Do you have any question that I should be aware of it? So that might help.
So when you said standard nearline code line archive, right? So is that is that something that you opt in during when you start, or is it on the go? It will decide that this has not been accessed and it will move it to corresponding. Is it automatic?
It is not automatic. You have to choose it. Unless otherwise you don't choose it, it stay in standard. Standard is the default option given by GCS.
So if I move it to nearline or archive, right? And if I start accessing it, how would be the impact for the application? I mean, I could move everything to archive and still keep using it regularly, right?
So it's all about money. So if you have something like standard is basically high cost. So why do you want to keep a file that you don't frequently use it, and that you pay? I mean, you don't use it frequently, but you are paying so much money. So then, nearline or cold line storage is what the option provided, but the impact to the application in terms of like um, let's say you are going to use it in a month, you're going to use the file 10 times, then nearline storage, it's not an option because the time it takes to get the file back, it's too much, right? So that's the impact to the application. The latency is going to be too much for the nearline. Code line will be more, archive will be super high. So that's the difference. If your application is like low latency application, but your the access to the application, I mean the object, it's frequent, then you have to go with standard. So that's the only difference you might be working on.
So if I'm using anything other than standard, right? How would I design an application per se? If I'm putting something in archive, what would be my process of getting something from archive and from user point of view? So the only thing that you can use in a live system is a standard and nothing else, because if you use anything else, right, you are expecting a delay and latency. So live systems can't use anything other than standard.
Yes, that's the main goal of these classes.
So what kind of applications would use those typically from user point of view? Generally, code line, archive.
Let's say the user submit a request to download the download the file. Example, let's say you have a bank transaction, okay, but you want the transaction from 2010 to 2015. So you don't have that data in the standard because that's archive data. So you can go to the archive, submit a request that takes a day, like let's say 24 to 48 hours. So that does not cost much for the company enterprise. And the same way, it also serves the customer. So customer doesn't get frustrated. So it's kind of a requirement for the system because you're requesting an archive, requesting old data, like that's not even current. So like 5 years before you want the data from. So archive is the best option, right? You pay less, but you still can get the data.
Okay, sounds good. And how about cold storage? When would you use cold storage?
So yeah, cold line, let's say 3 months before. you want like a quarter before you have a data that needs to be pulled back, so you can use it. And
It will also
nearline like
it will also
1 month.
be it will also be like email kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, email kind of thing. And nearline is 1 month, 1 month old data.
Okay.
Yeah,
But so
standard.
apart from standard, everything would be probably like email. There is no other real different way of using them from user point of
No,
view.
no. Yeah, if you are going to, yeah, that's how GCP works. GCP doesn't give you. I don't know why, but if you look at AWS give a lot of options. Like pretty much like they have standard infrequent access and some intelligent tiering and stuff. They do provide a lot of stuff. And also they have automatic way of migrating, right? Like after a month, I mean, here also we have we call it as conditions, but you have to write the logic. Like after this time frame you move all the files, so you can write all the conditions. But in AWS they give classification. I don't know, it's the way of AWS works, but here it's pretty much very straightforward. Only 4 options is what you have.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So let's move forward with the objects and buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, objects and buckets, it's pretty much straightforward. Buckets are the placeholder where you keep all your objects. I mean, objects are nothing but files. So whatever the files that you want to store, it's all called objects. So buckets, the few conditions are bucket names should be globally unique, and buckets are used as part of object, meaning like bucket names are used as part of object, basically the key value pair. When you create a bucket name is one of the field where it's being used as part of object, so that it knows where to pull the object from. And bucket name should be 3 to 63 character and cannot start with Google or Google. So these two are the main criteria for a bucket to be created. So these three are the few creative criteria. And in terms of objects are identified by a unique key. So inside a bucket, an object should be unique. So that's how it is. The way it is found is that bucket name plus the object name. So together, it is the unique key globally. That's how it works. And max object size for a single object is 5 TB. It's the same as AWS too. So 5 TB is the maximum size they could provide. And you can store unlimited number of objects. Such object in terms of 5 TB of size, there is no limit to store. And since it's serverless, maintained by Google, there is no infrastructure cost or anything. So it's all being handled through Google's um, Google Cloud Platform.
Okay.
That's
One
the
one quick
overall.
question. What is the when you say max object size? Is it the total size or each individual object size?
Each individual object.
Okay.
So if you're uploading a file which is up to 5 TB, you can store.
Okay. What is the maximum limit on the total? Is there anything like maximum limit for?
Unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no limit for GCS. Like if you create a project in Google platform, cloud platform, under that you have your actually for GCS there is no project required. It's actually a separate entity, right? So Google Cloud Storage is a separate thing. It's globally identified, so you don't go under a project. So it's just simply your bucket, basically your bucket name that comes on your account. That's it. Under that bucket, you can store unlimited number of files and unlimited size. The only criteria is each file should be less than 5 TB.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. So again, the high level we saw the storage classes. So different kind of data uses different kind of storage classes, like we talked about.
So, do you want to do
Uh,
any demos also, or just would it be mostly theory?
I have not started going through the demo yet. Maybe we should do it. So did you try this GCP account in your? Yeah, I didn't sign up actually. I wanted to do it like from next thing I will do demo. Maybe I'll come up with it.
Yeah, then I will start sharing maybe because I'll do some demo today.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you want to do demo because the storage is like pretty simple. When highlight, we can cover this.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Let's go ahead and then
yeah. Then you can share and you can just start them. Yeah,
sure.
that's
Then we'll just stick to agenda today. You finish off this today, and then we can do demo next time.
Yeah. So what I can do is like I'll sign up on account today. After that, like I'll do a demo, the demo of what we discussed today tomorrow.
Yeah, Prabhu, let's focus on trying to remember, make sure that we're very hands-on, because theory is good, but then if some projects comes, right, then if we don't know where to go, then it will be like it won't be good. So we should be very hands-on. It should feel like we are checking our Gmail. It should be that friendly with us. GCP should be that familiar with for us. So what I'm doing is generally putting those videos, and then I'm just practicing everything and then taking screenshots of my practice. So that's why I shared my notes with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I have your notes. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. So yeah. Object storage, storage class is the same thing we talked about. So different kind of data uses different storage classes. Depends on the data, you decide which storage class to use it. And the huge variations in access patterns and helps to optimize your cost based on the need. So storage classes, the main purpose of storage classes is to optimize your cost. It depends on the data and the the accessibility. You decide which one to choose. And standard 99.99% and 11 nines is what they say, but frequently used data is what goes there. And nearline minimum storage 30 days. The requirement is you have to at least minimum store 30 days of data. If you have some data like object that you don't want after 30 days, and you cannot store that in nearline, because if you don't store in 30 days, you're not going to use this storage class. And read or modify once in a month. So once in a month frequency is what it's given here. Same thing, quarter, and you need minimum 90 days of storage, because that's when it makes sense, right? You cannot store, if you are not going to store 90 days, then there is no point of accessing or modifying the file.
What is this minimum storage 30 days? I didn't understand. What do you mean by minimum storage 30 days?
So let's say you are not going to store that file not more than 30 days. Let's say after 30 days, you're not going to use that file. You want to delete that file. Meaning that's a minimum requirement. They say that. Because after a month only you're going to use the file. If you're not going to, if you're going to use within a month, that's not nearline class. So that's why they say minimum storage is 30 days.
No, what are they saying that there are a couple of things here. Are they saying that if you store an object, you have to have it for at least 30 days?
Yeah.
Or are you saying you should access it only after 30 days? That's not the case, right? They're saying
that's not the case, but you have to have minimum 30 days.
So once you put it in nearline storage, you have to pay the bill for 30 days. Minimum is 30 days.
Yeah.
Code line you'll minimum pay. So the the lower tier you go, the more you are expected to, longer you are expected to store it.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, and how many times you access is not something that they are concerned about.
No, they're not concerned about. So
you will have latency, then that's about it. For based on which tier you put the object, you will have a corresponding latency. But then there's a minimum number of days that you can store. So 30 days for nearline. Code line is what?
90 a quarter.
Archive
is less than one year at least.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's easy to remember, like 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. So and high durability. So feature across storage classes like pretty much like high durability, low latency, unlimited storage, and committed SLA is basically 99.95 and multi-region 99.99. So it's just that some points to remember,
Okay.
but
So in that
we'll
videos,
move
Prabhu,
on.
in the videos, did he actually go through any demos? This all looks like more theory oriented, right? Like.
The demo is not much. It's just for storage class. It's nothing, right? Because you open the service and it goes to a file. I mean, upload a file, and it's pretty straightforward. It's more of demo. I mean, theory is what I felt.
So did he demo like code line, archive, everything, or he just went to theory and then just showed you one demo? Or like how is that?
So you have option, like let's say you want to store the file, mark the file. Like
Mm,
there's option, you check it, and then it becomes
that category.
category. Yeah, that storage class.
So demo will be just uploading a file, but what you select is instead of doing this at 10 demos, he probably showed you in the drop down that these are the options.
Yes, those are all the options. Even everything like encryption, all the versioning, everything is an option in there. Like you just choose them. That's it. It
Okay.
becomes.
So
And he did some demo on the command line interface. Sorry, the client CLI. So that is kind of pretty. I mean, learning stuff we need to know, but how to access a file from CLI. So it's 6 o'clock. That's very important.
okay.
Yeah, but we'll go through that. Like we'll finish that demo also once, like maybe tomorrow. I'll finish that.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
And yeah, life cycle, two kind of actions. So you set a storage class, change from one storage class to another storage class for an object, or the bucket level. You can do it. And deletion, you can delete objects. So these two are the major life cycle. The life cycle, when I say you transition from one state to another state, what storage class, or you can delete the file when you want to delete the file. At certain number of days, you don't need a file. You're basically wasting your money, so you can delete it. So that's all about life cycle.
So there are two kinds, right? Can you go back once?
Delete.
Deletion and set storage. That's only one or two? Two kinds of.
Two, storage class, set storage class and deletion. These two are the life cycle.
Oh, okay. After okay, if it's not used frequently, you can pretty much set automatically to change it to certain category.
Yeah, after 30 days, you have an option to change it to nearline.
And that is
After
after yeah, that is automatically you can do it. Set storage.
yeah, automatically you can set it up.
Okay. So there is
Yeah,
some hooks. Okay.
yeah. So other than these, we need to remember that all the files we can use object version. I mean versioning. So whatever the file that you upload, you can set versioning. So why you need a versioning? So let's say you are an admin of this Google Cloud Storage, I mean platform, and you have uploaded file. I mean the enterprise has asked you to upload files, and you have used it. You have uploaded a file. I'm a developer. I'm just deleting the files. So it can prevent accidental deletion and keeps the previous history. So whatever the previous file that was deleted, you just still keep it. And okay, you can also enable the versioning in the bucket level. And live version is the default version. So let's say once you enable the version, the first the file that you have uploaded currently, that is the live version. And old version, it goes with the object key plus the generation number. So there is each file that gets associated with the number. Basically, that's a hash key kind of number. So it gets associated with the object key. So those are all the old version kept stored there. So about versioning, what we need to remember is pretty much like you prevent accidental deletion and maintain the previous history, and that's a main important concept about versioning. And live version is the default version. So that's pretty much it is. And encryption is nothing but you store the file at rest, and that's basically at rest you do encryption in a different way. Like all the files can be encrypted on server side, or the client who uses the REST API of Google Cloud Storage, they could completely encrypt the file and send it. So Google does not know anything about this encryption. Still, Google does its own encryption on the server side, because by default encryption is enabled in GCS. So on server side, all the encryptions are being handled by Google. That's on server side. Okay, so that's about the encryption. But once the file is received on GCS, it gets encrypted. That is Google managed encryption. That is the default option. Customer managed encryption is, so GCS should have access to KMS. So KMS is another service provided by Google where it takes the key. So the key for encrypting the file, it connects to the KMS. GCS connects to KMS, where that's where the IAM policy needs to be enabled. This service, GCS service, needs to have access to that specific KMS service. It's called the policy that needs to be enabled. So upon enabling it, it makes the connection, and it can manage the encryption. And customer also can send a key. That key is completely supplied through the API header. So when you send a call to put a file in object storage, cloud storage, you need to send a key. That is customer managed key. That one option where it does require a header with X Google encryption algorithm key and key SHA-256, whatever that the algorithm type and everything. So these three important information, you need to send it if you want to maintain your key. If you don't want Google to maintain it, it's up to the client who decides. And you can write your encryption through GSutil, configure the encryption. So any object that you put on the command line interface, you should be able to, that file gets encrypted. Like you can configure the encryption keys and everything inside your GSutil. And so these four are the different options. The client side encryption. Client side encryption, same as I told you. You do all the encryption from your before you even send it. So that's up to you, like the customer who decides this architecture, how they want to store the file. So this is all about encryption. Do you have any question on this?
Did he show anything like how to create a new key?
That comes on KMS. Yeah. So new key, you don't basically create a new key. So it's the second option you're talking about, right? Customer.
How do you, let's say I want to have my own key, how do I get that key?
You want to have your own key, so
because that's the option that they're providing, right? I could bring my own key, but how do I get my own key and how do I manage my key?
So that is a base 24, like base 64 key. So you basically, what you do is you generate a key. That key, how do you generate a key? That he didn't show, because that's not up to Google's cloud storage feature. So how you generate a key is basically your option. You do supply a key. You set up an algorithm. So that's all you do. What algorithm that you want to encrypt it to. But how you generate a key, there is no such option, because that's not supported by Google, right? So you need to provide the basics. The type should be the key is supposed to be following that algorithm of base 264 and the same SHA-256 algorithm type. So that's something you have to explore, how you generate a key. Because every enterprise have different option to create a key for their
So the
enterprise.
base is they'll say just SHA-256 key. That's it.
Yeah. And you need to supply the key on the header.
Okay.
So you see three options there under API headers.
Which one?
Here,
I,
this one. Like X Google
yeah,
encryption
yeah,
algorithm,
yeah.
Google encryption key,
Correct.
Google encryption key SHA-256.
So these are three options, or we have to select all three?
No, these are all three headers. You have to pass it. It's a API header.
Okay.
When you submit a request call on Postman, right, you set up the headers, right? These three are the main important header that you need to pass on.
Okay. So this is the security part.
Security, yeah.
Got it. And Google doesn't give us an option to generate our own. They have to.
Yeah, our own client managed key you cannot. They don't provide option. It's you decide what infrastructure you have to use it to generate this key, and also you maintain the key. If you lose the key, you have no way to get back the file and
Yeah.
decrypt the file.
Got it. Yeah, I was asking because yeah, I manage my own keys for my cryptocurrencies. So I was just wondering how they manage all this.
So how when you manage, you do generate your key or they provide the key?
No, there are multiple ways you can generate your own key. One is you buy a hardware device, and that
Mm-hmm.
hardware device, when you turn it on, it will give you option to go with the factory key or regenerate a key. So it's a random algorithm which juggles some words. If you say regenerate my key, you can it will be like from 40 words. They will keep jumbling the 40 words, and you'll have a 24 picked up. So you'll have 24 words like apple, Sam, downtown, tea. This will be the kind of words, and once you pick the 24 words like those, right, then that will be your private key. So that 24 English words will actually translate into some kind of gibberish cryptic key. All you have to know is the 24 words. So that is your private key, and once you have a private key, you don't give it anywhere generally, and you will create public keys and transact with the world with the public keys. So
Okay.
you can do a lot of fancy things with the public key, but your private key will be sitting inside your hardware wallet. And it will be sitting inside your soft. You can generate a software wallet also. You can go to Chrome and say give me a plugin, and the plugin like MetaMask plugin. Uh, the MetaMask plugin, when you initiate it for the first time, it will say this is your 24 word security key. Keep it safely. So you just have to write it down, and then after then on, it will just keep creating public keys and all. So I was just curious how these guys generate the key. There you either do a hardware key or a software key generally. Maybe there is a way for Google to give us a hardware key also. Yeah, we can explore that. That's good.
Yeah. It might come under the scam service probably because they see this option, right? The second option, customer managed, meaning like you still have KMS. You can generate a key there that they provide. So you can generate a key and use that. You can link the key with GCS automatically. You don't even see the key. You just see the key name. So the secret name that you can say. So you attach it, and then Google Cloud Storage can talk to KMS and use that key to encrypt that. But still, Google knows what key is used. That's there. So that's the only. But so you get that point. Right? The second one is basically Google managed key. I mean, not Google managed. Customers still create their own key through KMS. KMS provides an option that they can create. You can create number of keys that you can use it for different purpose.
Yeah, I think that's what I was asking actually.
Yeah, that is there. That is the second one. Customer supply is some completely their own. They use their own algorithm to generate the key. Completely, whatever the algorithm that they use it, they have to provide that type of algorithm. So, yeah.
Okay, okay, got it. So there might be some hardware device which probably generates key for us. So
Even cloud itself, they have it. They have the KMS, right? So that basically generates a key
yeah, that
automatically.
is second option, but I'm saying third option probably is
Third option, yes, they have their own. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. And in GS util, yeah, I just realized
This
one point.
this thing is like more like what we have in our so we have this ADFS, right? ADFS will generate a key. That's how it is, right?
You mean like JWT token?
Uh, in Ford we have AWS token,
Oh,
right?
ADFS.
ADFS, yeah.
ADFS key. Okay, okay, got it. Yeah. See, yeah.
Yeah.
And GS util, yeah, GS util like cloud storage. So one thing I think I mentioned that, so basically Google Cloud Storage does not require a project. I think project is I don't know, maybe the concept probably you might need to cover up in the beginning sections. So did you go through the few sections of the first? Did they cover up about the projects and folders?
No, not initially. At least not in the initial couple of them. They didn't cover anything like that. But let
No,
me.
that's the main part, I guess, because project and folders are the place where you start the entire your enterprise with Google Cloud. When you sign up Google Cloud, you have to create a project. Isn't that the requirement?
Uh, he kind of quickly covered it, but there's no specific section to it. He just logged in and said, "Okay, you will just create a new project. It will be my project," and he didn't specifically talk anything about it, like the structure and anything. Like there's no separate topic. He just started creating a new project. That's it.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, so I just realized that everything, I think whatever your enterprise decides, so you have to go with the project. For example, in Ford, we have autonomous vehicle. Okay, so the autonomous vehicle, electric vehicle, powertrain, engine, so they can have their own project set up for their organization. So that's where it starts. So you set up a project under autonomous. They have different projects set up too. So they can create the root level project under root under autonomous. They can create folders. Each folder assigned to a different team. So under that folder, they might create their other services. So in this case, I just realized that like I have taken a notes here. So you have to configure a project. So you have to set up a project, and once you have that project, under that project, you create a cloud storage. So all the buckets gets linked under this project. So that's what I have noted down. Like you use G Cloud in command line interface. You use G Cloud to configure a project, but GS util is only used for storage. So these two are the difference I mentioned initially. When you use CLI in Google, if you go for Kubernetes, right? Kubernetes use their kubectl command. That's a common command across Kubernetes, but Google still uses the same command inside. But if there is anything related to the infrastructure, you use G Cloud. Here we are setting a project for our infrastructure, that is G Cloud. But GS util is specifically used for GCS. So that's the main mandatory step for GCS to go with. So and use GS util to make bucket and GS colon slash the first bucket name, my first bucket name, what I've written there. It's a unique name that you have to provide. So that creates a bucket, and there are some commands I have just written right there, like how you list a bucket and how you copy a bucket from one source to another destination. So these are all some of the GSUL command that we need to be aware of it. So whenever it might be useful as a developer. Mostly developers use CLI. So that's when we used to have hands on done a lot. So and also like let's say you write an application, how you connect your cloud storage through the library. He did not give any demo on that. I don't know why, but we are supposed to do some exercise on that. If you really want to get in detail, not focusing on only the exam, we are focusing on the real time experience. We should do some work on hands on
So
this.
he didn't go through the tutorials.
There is no such exercise on that.
On the command line.
hmm Command line he did, like he did all this, like how to create a bucket, how to list a bucket. But these are all like GSUtil command. I'm talking about the client library where you use Java to connect your bucket.
Oh, Java. Oh yeah, yeah. I think he covered it in another course. That's why he didn't. Yeah, there's
Oh,
another. Yeah, there's
okay.
another course.
I didn't. Yeah, maybe I should go
Yeah,
there.
he has multiple courses. I think that he has Spring Boot with GCP course. I think
Okay.
that's where he
So
will
yeah,
probably.
if we really need to know that, right, we should be doing that also because that's where it covered it. Maybe it's not too much because it's pretty easy, right? We have done with our APDM platform. How you connect to APDM? They provide a third party jar and you connect from your application. Same process, but I'm just saying like
Yeah, yeah,
we need to learn that too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. First we get this part done, and I think we have to focus on developing a small application also.
Yeah.
Yeah, more than exam, it is about do you have sample codes enough ready that if you are confident, I mean, you don't, nobody really, uh, I mean, it is only, certifications only gets you to the first step, but you can bypass the certificate and do a lot of YouTube videos and social media marketing and a lot of things to get that first step.
Yeah.
It's not necessary that you have to do a certification, but it is, but when opportunity is given, you should be able to back yourself. Like, that's the most important thing.
Yes.
And,
So, so in this course, this is very small course actually, like 37 minutes or 57 minutes, I think. That's all he covered. So this is all. So as part of cloud storage, just to summarize, we learned like objects and buckets, and we learned about the storage classes and GSUtil command line interface and encryption, versioning. Those are all the major part pretty much, and yeah, throughout this section. So that's all major he did like life cycle. Those are all the few important topics he covered as part of this. That's everything.
okay, sounds good. So
Yeah,
you want to stop it here today?
yeah.
What?
I mean, like, yeah. For today, yeah, this is good. But I would like to explore that. So yeah, you share your screen and show me how you are taking notes and just the way that how you handle it. Let me 1 second. Let me unshare it. Okay. Go ahead. So what is your way of learning this?
Let me know when. Am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay. I don't know. All my bookmarks got wiped off, but I had a lot of bookmarks. But apart from that, so I what I do is I have this book. I have multiple books for all my learning. So create one book on GCP. Then I have these topics. Okay, each of these like the way he has sections. Each section I created one tab. Okay, so one section there are multiple video series. So for each video series I'll write notes. So whenever I'm watching that video series, right, like he will have he has so many sections, like these many sections he has for the
Mhm.
certification path. So all of these are one tab, and in one tab when I'm watching a video, there's machine types. He talks about machine type then for 5 minutes, then he goes on to something like compute engine start script for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So I try to keep up exactly kind of similar to what he is going through here, section and then subsections or sub videos. So these are the videos. Each one is notes for each video.
Mhm.
Then when I'm actually on the I have multiple screens. So on my left, I keep watching the video, and on my right, I just keep doing it. And first watch the video once, and then when I try to do it on my own, when I'm doing on my own, I just keep taking snippets because tomorrow generally my memory is very bad. I mean, I don't remember things well. So I understand the logic, I understand the design, but if you ask me to repeat it, I would struggle, and especially after 3 months, it will be brand new for me. So I like to have these notes telling me how to create something very quickly. So if tomorrow somebody says I want something, right? I remember the concept, but I won't remember how exactly to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I will kind of know, looking at the requirement, I'll know I have to pick a GKE, and then I have to pick a app engine, and then I have to pick a compute engine, and then I also know which section to go through quickly. So I will have the notes like this regions. Okay, I will have something like this, and I'll just refer to which this section, and I'll go through what he's talking about. And then if I don't understand, right, with the video is always there. If my notes don't make sense, I will use this video series to go back and revise it. Sometimes when you're writing it, it makes sense, and temporarily it makes sense, but long term it may not make sense. The notes may not make sense. So I'm keeping
Mm-hmm.
his whatever I'm understanding, I'm just keeping it parallel structure to whatever he's describing. That's all I'm doing. That way, if something I don't understand, I know exactly where to go. I know, okay, this the other day I was trying to understand custom images. So suddenly I didn't realize I kind of got stuck here. So I didn't know how it is happening. So I went back to the video, to compute engine, and then I went to this custom image video. I just rewatched it for 5 minutes. That solved my problem. So this is how I keep notes. And yeah,
So you log in with your own account and you taking the screenshot. What you do,
correct.
like when you basically create a custom image and you just compute engine, and from the compute engine you're just taking a notes of it, like, and storing it here.
Yeah, because that way I know I'm not one, the image quality is good. If you take it from video, the image quality kind of suffers.
Yeah.
So if you take a direct screenshot, it is better. One, two, I'm practicing. I'm making sure I'm practicing. Three, I'm getting the latest and the most current UI. Sometimes what happens is these videos, right? They get out of date, and
Yeah.
they don't update it. So you will be struggling, and then things keep changing. And I like to get the latest possible. So three advantages.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, let me. Yeah, I have taken one notes, but mostly what I do is like I. You want me to share mine? I have
yeah,
a
yeah,
GCP
yeah.
open. Let me share mine quickly. So it's pretty much the same way you do, but what I don't do is so this is my GCP learning from Udemy. It's my personal notes. I will share this with you because I same thing what you have done actually. See, I started with actually GKE. Those first two sections that I covered, right? Like, I
You're
mean,
not sharing your screen.
oh, did I not?